currency collapses and the risk of the escalation rises sharply. Russia has already called the outcome very bad for global security. Although the Ukraine war did not immediately kill the treaty, it steadily hollowed it out. Russia suspended participation, citing US military support to Kyiv, even as continued to adhere to the numerical limits. Without the treaty, even that voluntary restraint disappears. The nuclear balance has also changed. China is no longer a marginal player. It is expanding its nuclear forces faster than any other power. Washington insists future arms control must include Beijing. But Beijing has flatly rejected that idea, adding to the instability of the new weapon system never envisioned when the start was time. Hypersonic missiles, nuclear-powered drones, and space-based missile defense proposal. Russia has warned that any expansion of missile defense system will be met with military countermeasures. Europe is watching closely. Concerns are growing that the America's nuclear umbrella may no longer be unconditional, prompting discussions about alternative European deterrence option, but who decides, who commands, and who bears the responsibility remains unresolved. Former leaders from both countries are sounding alarm. They warn that allowing the treaty to expire without replacements risk a return to Cold War style nuclear brinkmanship. This time with more actors, more weapons, fewer rules. As the New START treaty ends, the world may be entering its most dangerous nuclear movement in decades. I'm joined by Dr. Bharat Karnad, Emeritus Professor, someone who has written extensively on India's nuclear posture, nuclear weapons. Thank you so much, sir. Can you just decode it for our viewers? What does it mean for the world at large for this new START to collapse?
Well, basically, I think it means that it's free for all. It's a nuclear free for all because there are no treaty guidelines and directives to conform to. Each country, therefore, is free. Each nuclear country, weapon-owning country, is free to build up their arsenals as they wish, without control and without hindrance or any kind of treaty constraints. So this is, as I said, a more difficult world for everybody, including the 5 nuclear weapons powers recognized by the Non-Proliferation Treaty.
But Dr. Karnad, is it correct to say, as reported by the Western press, that American reluctance draws from the fact that they want China to be part of some sort of an engagement? Is that correct? Because that's the Western narrative.
No, that has been the Trump's condition for getting into any kind of new arms control talks, that China be part of it. But China has plainly said, as you have noted, that it'll have no involvement in any such negotiations, simply because it says it's not fair. This is the official word they've used. It's not fair or equitable to China because its arsenal is so much smaller than Russia's and America's. Even compared to the constraints imposed on the two countries by the New START treaty that has just ended today, or will end per American time and European time. Well, I suppose it has ended now. So, as I said, this is a sort of situation where, there is no, shall we say, nothing hindering and hampering any country in the world, at least the 5 nuclear powers, to do as they wish.
So, Dr. Karnad, what does it mean for the world? Then I'll come to the question, what does it mean for the India's nuclear posture, which got defined when Vajpayee was the Prime Minister? Then I'm going to bring this conversation home, sir.
Yes. Well, for the world, it is, as I said, it's a free-for-all. So we are going to be in a situation where there's great uncertainty and unpredictability. The one thing that arms control treaty agreements did was in some way define the situation for everybody. But now that that's ended, you have a situation where, again, we are between and betwixt. Hopefully there will be a continuing arms control kind of regime that will come in, but it won't do so without China getting into the negotiations, as Washington now insists. And China won't get in because it says it really is not on par numerically in terms of the weapons and so on with either the Russians or the Americans. So you are in a tangle, really, each expecting the other to give in. In any case, China says it will be no part of it, in which case America will be no part of, will have no involvement in any negotiations with Russia. So that's where matters stand. And as I think President Putin has just warned, that the build up by the Americans of what they call the Golden Dome over America, which is an anti-ballistic missile defense kind of system. He says that will only, in a sense, motivate us to build more counter weapons, which basically offensive weapons, which basically means, again, increasing the arsenal size. So that's where we are at, where everybody will be trying to augment their advantage.
Okay, and so what does it mean for India? Do you think that we now should we change our nuclear posture, doctrine?
Well, that's what I've been pleading for the last 30 years, that we made a big mistake by agreeing to the condition of the nuclear cooperation deal, the 2008 civil nuclear cooperation deal, wherein it was conditioned on our not resuming testing. I think I've always said that was a bad deal, and that we need to resume thermonuclear testing open-ended so that we begin to build up. We cannot not take nuclear security seriously. It's what we have done. We have not taken ourselves seriously, and we are now, in a sense, banded with Pakistan. It's a small country of no consequence on our flank, while we have to deal with China. So we get in this daisy chain where China is worried about Russia and America, we are worried about China, Pakistan is worried about us. So you have an unending situation. Really, it's a series of uncertainties that are built into this situation, and we don't know how it's going to work. One can break it. India can do so by resuming testing. It's a good opportunity for it to do so, because the thermonuclear test that we conducted in 1998, the so-called S1 test, was a fizzle. It was a dud. So we are not equipped with what we say we have, which is a thermonuclear weapon of high yield. That we don't have, even if the government by indirection claims it does have that. It doesn't, because it has now been authoritatively said by the Director of Field Testing in Pokhran in 1998 that weapon test was a dud. We need therefore to resume testing again, and we need to take that advice by the late Dr. K. Santhanam seriously.
And so, in context of the credible minimum deterrence and the no first use, do you think that they also need to be redefined?
Well, actually, they need to be jettisoned by India. NFU was an completely unmaintainable sort of a factor to shape your own arsenal. A no first use means essentially that you are opening up yourself to first use by the adversary.
Yes.
Which means that you should be in a situation to absorb the first strike. Two things. If we have a small deterrent in terms of size, which we do, about 170 weapons or so right now, according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, then it's hardly a big enough size to absorb first strike. Secondly, this country, as everybody knows, we can't take the first monsoon strikes, for God's sake. What are you talking about, a nuclear strike? Do people even understand what that means? I mean, very little works in the best of times in this country. Be honest, we have to begin to be very honest about these things. And in a crisis, we all run around like headless chickens, the government in particular. And we expect that we'll be able to manage a nuclear crisis where we absorb the first strike.
So, I was speaking to one of the generals, and he said the same to me in a sort of an off-record conversation, that do you know what does it mean when you talk about the first strike? You can't communicate. You can't communicate. There is no communication. And he said, I will end my conversation because I've been part of these important critical meetings. So who is going to direct our forces?
No, that's not true. What will happen is, if you have penetrated communication systems, which we do, unfortunately, then they will go out because they will be penetrated, or there can be a decapitation strike wherein the satellite communications go off simply because you can have what they call the electromagnetic pulse weapons that detonate up in the space. They'll knock off your communication satellites and so on. So you become therefore deaf and in a sense, blind if you're depending on visual sensors. So therefore, what is required for us to do is harden our hard communications landlines, which is the redundant communication setup we have.
Okay.
We have, but whether that will survive and whether that is not penetrated by the adversaries, we don't know. That remains to be seen. So that's an iffy sort of a situation you're getting into. And lots of other things have to go right for India to then manage, as for any other nuclear country under nuclear attack. So it's not very simple to say, yes, is a country capable or not? Well, there's so many uncertainties, as I said, that come in that you have not factored. And I don't think the government has prepared for any such contingency.
Okay.
Let's be honest about it.
Okay.
And the scale of it is so large that we cannot imagine. And the most we have done is floods or something like that in terms of, or, an occasional earthquake in the Himalayas or something. That's what we have handled. We have not handled anything like this, as has no other country, by the way. So it's new to everybody. And so while the other countries have, like China, has underground tunnel systems for protection in terms of protect and so on. That we don't have. So, we are very, very vulnerable and exposed.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have really run short of time, but it was a very riveting and illuminating conversation in context of what Indians should be doing and the Indian government should be doing. So this is all I had on Point 3. Thank you and good night. I'll see you tomorrow at the same time.
यार सोच रहा हूँ पॉलिसी बाजार से टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस ले लेता हूँ ताकि मेरे बाद फैमिली को पैसों की कमी ना है। तू भी ले ले।
यार अभी तो यंग है यार, बाद में देखते हैं। आजा।
पॉलिसी बाजार पर 0 GST के साथ अब 1 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सिर्फ 400 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
Every champion's journey starts with second thoughts.
क्या हुआ?
Till they see it's possible and there is someone who truly believes in them.
एक दिन बहुत बड़ा आदमी बनना है ना?
Orchids, the international school, raising 85,000 champions across India.
To be on top of the game, it demands precision and skill, focus and timing, to be adaptable and agile. And when beaten down, to only come back stronger. That's why, leading the Kolkata Royal Tigers, I feel the same adrenaline rush I've experienced over the decades. Indian Racing Festival, time to gear up India.
When drinking water turns deadly, it demands answers.
What is really going on there?
News9 brings you.
Imagine water that you drink.
Contaminated drinking water in Indore, revealing a disturbing link to at least 15 reported deaths.
Typhoid outbreak in tribal areas. 104 patients.
After 15 people were killed.
Foul, frothy water from taps.
You would assume it's safe. It turned deadly.
How is that happening?
Different cities. One national crisis. Bharat. Quest for clean water. News9. In your interest.
Delhi is losing the fight against pollution.
This is not a story of just children. This is the story of every elderly person in the National Capital Region.
Delhi's hazardous air quality.
It's more capital of the world.
Delhi pollution has left us sick and exposed, also frankly embarrassed.
Hazardous air quality are disrupting daily life.
Growing issue of a toxic air looming large over Delhi.
Delhi's air quality index has been hovering between 300 and 400 for the past week. The culprit was the same PM 2.5, the main pollutant which is emitted from heavy industries, power plants, vehicles, crop burning and coal-based heating.
The overall air quality of the city continues to remain in the very poor category.
We look at how Delhi is once again struggling with danger.
It's not just about today.